Yo, what's up guys? Grim here. And today we're going to be talking about sextant blocking and doing a bit of new meta speculation. So I've taken the time to do a lot of sextant blocking on all of these new maps on the new Atlas, and I think I've come up with a few that are really like standout competitors, which would be very good to run. Now, a quick disclaimer, I have not played 3.1. I have just seen the videos and that's it. So if you're watching this like after 3.1 has come out, I suggest you find like a more up-to-date video because this one may have some things which are incorrect because it's just full of speculation. Just one more disclaimer: sextants may not be how they are on live. I'm assuming that all of the layouts which we currently know are going to be similar to live in 3.0, and also that sextants will operate in the same way as they do in 3.0 with a similar radius and sextant modifiers. So with that out of the way, we'll get straight into it. So basically what I've done is I've looked at all of the tier 11s, 12s, 13s, and 14s with optimal layouts, as we can see here, and I've gone ahead and figured out how many blocks can go on each of the different sextant locations. So if you're new to kind of like PoE and the Atlas meta, I will really quick just explain what a block is. So the reason we block is so that we can kind of force certain sextant modifiers to go on the map without having to re-roll constantly again and again and again with sextants wasting currency. Um, there will be a link to this spreadsheet down below after the video, and here are the sextant modifiers, and I've kind of organized them in best to worst kind of thing. Like you want to have the green ones, yellow ones are okay, and red ones are not great. So as you can see here, you really do want to be blocking quite a few of the poor ones. So an ideal like kind of block count for a map is in the 4 to 6 range. If it doesn't have that, you're going to be rolling quite a few sections into the map, and it's not ideal. So with that information, we can kind of get into kind of looking at which maps might potentially be the best. So, in terms of which ones I've analyzed, I have gone ahead and just looked at the current layouts, which are very good in 3.0, and then I've focused on those because I don't think they'll be changing too much with all of the current maps. So, as you can see, I explained in another video which ones I think are best and have the most excellent locations and stuff like that. So we'll get straight into how we're going to block and how we're going to choose between like kind of like the top maps and which one we're actually going to want to shape. So just to get started, I did include tier 9 in here because I do believe like Strand and Gorge are kind of like very good maps. However, I think we'll notice here, like when I went to block them out, Strand actually has no blocks. It has like one on Arid Lake and Val City. So despite the fact that it has 7 white sextants, it's actually not going to be very good because you'll be plowing like 10 or 15 sextants into the Strand every 3 maps, which is like a lot of currency. And I don't think you'll get that back from running the map without playing with like 6 players. So if you're going to shape a tier 9, I would highly recommend Gorge because you can do 6 seconds on 6 sextants on Channel, 3 on Volcano, and 6 on Atoll. And I will show you that here. We have Gorge, which is up here in the top left quadrant, and we can see over here, and we've got plenty of blocks over here. But like straight away here, we can see a bit of a problem with the new Atlas, and that is in order to block Gorge, we do need to like put sextants on Vault, Atoll, Ashenwood, and some other very good layouts. So it's definitely going to be a really big trade-off in the new expansion, whether or not you want to block out a map or not, and it will definitely very much limit kind of like the variety of content you can play. Um, Having said that, another big factor which we need to consider before we get really into kind of like the new meta speculation is the impact that the Elder and Shaper influence will have on the Atlas. So really quick, I'm just going to kind of guess at how it might work. So I'm going to assume that after every single map, the landscape on the Atlas will change. The Elder might get some more room, the Shaper might get some more room, and that'll just keep ticking every time you like do a map. So I would say that if you just do a lot of maps really fast, you will eventually have that land on a map that you have shaped or sextanted. So with that in mind, you can still interact with the mechanic. You just can't always interact with it. You can't just be constantly running Shaper and Elder maps. Now, I'm not entirely sure how big a disadvantage that's going to be, but I think the advantages of shaping your atlas and blocking everything out far outweigh the ability to get some kind of like cool random chase rare, which you can actually just buy off other players. So my opinion is that you focus on making currency quick, efficiency, and then buy those elder and shaped items of other players or craft them yourself. To my understanding, you can just chaos spam the base that you really like enjoy using. So if you want like a shaped Val Regalia, you can just buy that off PoE trade and then just spam chaos into it until you get the modifiers that you want. So moving on back to shaping our atlas. So we got tier nines. They're not too appealing. They're not going to give you very good XP, and they do actually interfere with a lot of the higher, very strong layouts that we might want to be running. So in my personal opinion, I will not be shaping a tier 9 because that would also limit us from completing all the other tier 9s on the Atlas as well as tier 10s, which is a really big drawback. So moving on, I will personally not be shaping a tier 10. Next up, uh, sorry, a tier 9 before. So next up, tier 10s. There really is only one good option, in my opinion, for a tier 10, and that is channel. If we look at what else we've got here, the possibilities, we've got two of the new maps which we could consider blocking out and shaping up and running. But as you can see, they can only have two sextants to block out each, with a total of three each. And only one from each of those can be blocked. Four blocks is decent, but the other one has zero, which makes it pretty unappealing, and you're going to have to put quite a few sextants in and roll the dice whether or not you're going to be like profiting off that map in terms of currency. So I will not be shaping either of these new maps, even if they have the best layout in the whole game, because I believe channel is the better option here. With a total of four sextants, which is quite strong, we can actually block out a lot of them as well on those three that aren't channel itself. So I will show you channel on the atlas and kind of what it looks like to block it out. So here's channel over here. As you can see, one, two, three, four sextants. They're all white, which is very strong, and plenty of blocks here. But again, you can see we're locking ourselves out from maps like Vault, Ashenwood, and Atoll. So something that keeps popping up as I tested all of these maps is that all of the good blocking and good layouts are up in this top left corner, which is kind of annoying, really. A lot of the other locations on the map don't really have great maps in them, or if they do, like Strand, you can't really block them very effectively, making them kind of inefficient to run and going to cost a lot of currency investment to get the density you really want. So right up, straight away, we already have to make a decision. If you're going to shape a tier 9, you can't shape both Gorge and Channel because they will interfere with each other greatly. So just keeping that in mind, we will move on to a tier 11, which is traditionally the most popular tier to be ran. Like we've got Shaped Racecourse and Shaped Strand, which are very popular currently. Um, so moving right along. I have also tested Spider Layer here, but it's not a great layout. However, it is on the other side of the map. I will actually just show you that real quick. Um, yeah, so we'll show you Spider Layer, and that's over here. But as you can see, it doesn't have too many great blocks. The Canyon Sextant can't block at all, and these ones only have two each on them. So not ideal, and also it's a kind of average layout. So moving on to our tier 11s, just disable that. We've got Atoll, which is a very good layout. Ashenwood, which is also a pretty decent layout if you don't mind the trees and like kind of like the little brick walls. Jungle Valley, which is also very good, and I've also included Cemetery here because I think it's a pretty open layout. It does have a lot of things to shield charge into and kind of flame dash into, but it's okay. It's runnable. It's passable. So again, we have this problem. I've kind of put a little list here of what you would lose if you shaped Atoll, and we can already see we're losing Ashenwood, Vault, Ramparts, Channel. Like we've got another conflicting issue because it's up in this top left corner. I'll show you right now. So again, it's this area, the same area that we're gonna have to block out on, which is kind of annoying. So already we have to choose between Gorge, Channel, and Atoll, which is not something we really want to be doing. Having said that, you can kind of omit the tier 10. You don't need to shape a tier 10 and you don't need to shape a tier 9. So with that in mind, we can just straight up shape a toll. And in my opinion, it is the best option. As we can see here, 7 blocks on Armory, 4 blocks on Maelstrom, and 5 on Gorge, which is very good. We can kind of pinpoint exactly which sextant modifiers we want, which is exactly what we want to be doing. Again, we've got Ashenwood here. Ashenwood's another good map that we could be shaping up for our tier 11. I'll show you that quickly. Um, yep, so it's over here, and again, it's in the same area. It's going to be interfering with all of our other stuff here, so we've got to keep that in mind. We have to choose between Ashenwood and Atoll. It's a little bit worse than Atoll, but only slightly. So you actually kind of have the opportunity to choose which one you'd like to shape here. Personally, I'm going to be going with a toll. Those extra sextants on armory are very appealing to me, but it is actually only a net difference of one block on each of them. So moving on, we have some kind of less appealing options here. Jungle Valley has those trees again, like in Ashenwood, and Symmetry has the kind of annoying things to shield charge into. I will show you those real quick. Something that stands out about these ones, though, is that they are actually on the other side of the atlas, which is a big bonus if you want to shape one of those tier 9s or 10s earlier. So as we can see, Jungle Valley, it's not too bad, and it's in a pretty good location on the atlas on the right-hand side of the map. Um, so just in conclusion, we'll also show Cemetery, which is again on this side of the map. So we lose Ashenwood, Atoll. We actually keep Vault here, but you can't sextant block it up. So Cemetery is probably not something you want to be doing. You're going to be choosing between Atoll and Ashenwood, or Jungle Valley if you want to preserve that tier 9 and tier 10 area. So moving on, tier 12, we have Dunes, which is my personal favorite map of all time. Ramparts, we have two new maps here which I've theory crafted a bit, but immediately we can see Dunes has no blocks, which is kind of tragic. As we can see down here, you go bang, bang, bang with some sextants, but you can't reach it with Promenade, Tower, Shore, any of these, they don't reach. So unless I'm wrong about the sextant radiuses and they change them up, Dunes will not be seeing any run, like running from anyone really. It'll just kind of be that like fill a map. If you get it, you run it for like trying to get a different map drop. You're not going to farm it like day in, day out or anything like that. So it's not great. Ramparts, on the other hand, is looking pretty good. It kind of sucks about the underground C blocks. Like you're gonna have to roll kind of a few sections into there, but that's kind of okay. At the moment, without knowing these two layouts, it's kind of like the best option we have if you want to try and sextant block. So I will show you that real quick. Ramparts, and again, it's up in the same area as Atoll. So if you did want to shape Ramparts, you're going to have to shape Jungle Valley as your tier 11, which is kind of not great. I do really just want to quickly point something out as well. With the new Atlas, these situations seem to come up a lot. As you can see here, we're doing ramparts, and I've put a sextant on Primordial Pool, which is a tier 11 map, as a block. Now, this didn't really come up in the other Atlas very often, but in order to shape our Atlas, if we wanted to have a shape tier 11, you actually cannot complete Primordial Pool, which means you can't put a sextant on it. And that's a big problem. So you kind of have to be even more strategic with which maps you want to like kind of complete. So like realistically, if you're going to have a shape tier 11, you can't actually unlock Primordial Pool, which would actually reduce the effectiveness of the blocks on ramparts. So there's a lot more theory crafting to be done here, but like I just haven't gotten to it yet. I haven't kind of nutted out like the best like kind of like tier 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 that you can do yet, because a lot of these situations make it very hard to figure out. Um, anyway, moving on. So ramparts is pretty good, but it conflicts with all these other ones, all these other good layouts in this area. So yeah, you have to kind of pick and choose. So the two new maps here, the new Tier 7A, which I've called it here, looks pretty good. But the new T7B here, it has like a high potential of sextants on it. A couple of them have like pretty good blocks, so you can consider doing this one and just leaving these sextants out, like the Putrid Cloister Academy and Museum ones, which is definitely an option, or you could just throw them on there if you're rich. But yeah, we'll take a look at that real quickly, these two new ones, and we'll kind of see where they are on the map and if they're viable strategies to go along with our other kind of sextants on the map. So as we can see here, Tier 7A is again over here with Jungle Valley, giving us a bit more flexibility of where we want to go. You can see again here, if we wanted to shape this up, we can't complete the villa, which would reduce the effectiveness of our sextant blocking a little bit. But I have to kind of go back and do this a bit more, like more theory crafting, like more time. But yeah, I'm just getting this out now to give you a pretty good idea of what's going on. So that's over here. And we have B, which was the one with high potential, like lots of sextants you can see here. Not great blocks, but a very good location. It's in the bottom right, which lets us kind of like choose some other really good layouts, which are up in that top left. Um, so yeah, moving into tier 13, we have quite a few fan favorites here. We got Shore, Courtyard, which has traditionally been able to have a lot of sextants on it. Tropical Island and Mud Geyser, so a lot of really good layouts. Um, Unfortunately, Tropical Island and Mud Geyser can't have too many sextants on them. However, the one sextant that you can put on them does have okay blocks. So we might see tier 13 just kind of be um, that kind of like transitionary. You just have it to build your map pool kind of thing, and then you take it away later. Um, so right off the bat, sure, can have a total of 3 sextants on it, but only one can be blocked. However, that one block is very good, but I'm not sure if that will make up for like the fact that Shore kind of doesn't have the best open layout. Like it has rocks and stuff you can shield charge into. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, between all of these, Courtyard obviously has the most like potential with like the most sextants on it. But if you're looking at like kind of like the middle of the road, Shore's okay, but I'll probably be choosing either Tropical Island or Mud Geyser because I prefer them over the Shore layout. Anyway, I'm going to show you quickly where these locations are so you can kind of get a feel for what you'll be missing out on in terms of the other maps. So really quickly, we have Shore, which is down here in the middle, which is a very good location. It's not in the top left, it's not around this area, and it's not around Jungle Valley area either, which is where a lot of our other maps were. So it's looking pretty good, but again, we have this problem of like tier 11, tier 13. We can't complete these maps, so it's going to reduce the effectiveness again of sextant blocking if we decide to like choose those and complete them. Um, Courtyard, on the other hand, up here, we don't see as much of a problem here. It's only Mesa that we would not be able to complete. So Courtyard looks pretty decent, although its blocks are pretty bad. So the last two here, Mud Geyser, no blocks at all. Not good. So yeah, I've obviously got to update my spreadsheet there. I didn't have that one again very well. Yeah, it's a copy from Tropical Island, it looks like. So yeah, we've got Tropical Island down here with just the one sextant and 3 blocks. So again, Spider Forest not ideal because we won't be able to complete that one unless we're farming like headhunter cards and you don't mind dropping a split map pool. But again, not great. Um, so yeah, a bit of a mistake here. Mudjays actually has 0 blocks, making it kind of like a non-contender. And finally, tier 14, we have Vault. Vault is the one everyone's talking about. Everyone thinks Vault is fantastic. It's really great, and I would agree. When we look at Vault, though, it is in that exact same area, that really big hotspot up the top in the left. So over here we can see, yeah, wow, look, it basically uses all of the good maps in the top left to block it out. Having said that, though, it is the one map which has a ton of sextants and a ton of blocking. We can see it dips into the red here, which is not great. We're going to lose quite a few of these blocks when we decide to completely optimize and shape the map up. But yeah, like initially, even losing them, it still looks very good. So as long as Vault isn't like completely nerfed or it's like pokey and hard to get around in, I think it's probably going to be the map that everyone farms most consistently if they like kind of like for XP potentially as long as like the layout's not terrible and loot if the hoarder card sticks around because you can just get so much in there. Holy crap! Like you got like lots of blocks, lots of sextants. It's great. Back to my sheet here. Um, Plateau, which is actually something that I was considering heavily. Like I think honestly, like, I don't want to lose all of those other maps near Vault. So Plateau honestly is probably going to be my choice. 7 blocks on Wasteland, that's no joke. You can kind of just exactly get what you want every single time on that. And 3 blocks on one of the new maps here is no joke either. So I'll just show you where that is real quick. It is on the right hand side of the atlas, which is actually like it does take up the Jungle Valley area, but it's not in that crucial left hand side of the area, which is very, very good. The only downside here is obviously it takes up a lot of these, but personally I might just not end up having a tier 11 map. It really depends on how hard it is to sustain. And the more maps you kind of like complete, the more like kind of like Atlas bonus you'll have, and the easier it will be to sustain. So in terms of like finding the perfect equilibrium between like how many do I complete, how many do I like uncomplete to make sure I get the tiers I want, that's not determined yet. So moving on to the last two here that I've done. We've got the new map Tier 9A, which I've called it. It's unfortunately in the same area as Vault, so it's directly competing with Vault, and I just don't know if it'll be better. We kind of have to wait and see what its layout is. If the layout is fantastic, maybe it beats Vault, but we just don't know. Another big advantage is it doesn't dip into the red at all, which is a huge thing. Like that's a big deal. If this map is good, it might very well be the go-to Tier 9. And finally, I did Estuary. I think it's a pretty open map. It's pretty decent, unless they change it a lot. So that's the final one we'll look at here. Um, it's in another pretty good spot, this bottom right area. It's on the top left. But again, we got a lot of red in here, which we won't be able to complete if we're trying to perfectly shape our atlas. So it's probably not going to be a very popular choice. In conclusion, um, do I think the new Atlas is blockable? Absolutely. Yes, we've kind of proved that here as long as sextants remain the same. Will I be blocking? Yes, most likely I will be blocking. I don't think the new mechanic is enough of an incentive unless they like pack the maps full of density if it's a shaper map, or if it's an elder map, it's like got a ton of density. I think I'm gonna get my fair share of elder and shaper maps by themselves. Like, if I can give you an example, like Dunes is all over here on its own. If the shaper stuff lands on Dunes and I don't have any blocks around here, I can just run Dunes. Like, it's not a big deal. And I do believe, like, let's say it's down here and I've been running my tier 12, which is over here somewhere, and it slowly creeps up here, then I can just spam run vaults for a bit while it's on vaults. Or you could do like kind of an alternating between your tier 14 and your tier 12, like bing, 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 and like kind of let it creep back in. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I would assume that it will be like possible to manipulate it even with sextant blocking. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned something. Just keep in mind, this is all speculation. I haven't played 3.1. I'm just trying to give everyone a bit of a head start on what might be the new meta. If things remain the same, then I think this would be an excellent resource for everyone to like kind of like have and understand how the new Atlas works. So yeah, thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be making a video tomorrow as well. Thanks.